She has to pay for her incompetence.
Is this about money?
No.
Is it about what people think?
It's about you. It's about you having to face this.
I am facing this. I am facing it! I am facing this!
Well, I don't think you are. We need some justice here.
No, you need. That is what you want. That is what you need. That is your way. That is not my way. That is what you need.
Martha, if you had done it my way, you'd be holding your baby in your arms right now.
And that was a clip from Pieces of a Woman, which is available now on Netflix. It stars Vanessa Kirby, who I'm very pleased to say joins me now. Hello, Vanessa.
Hi, Ben.
How are you?
I'm not bad.
I'm guessing you're in your house.
I'm
and
actually
not at a wild party somewhere.
No wild parties. I can't
Where-
remember what those are like, actually.
Where are you?
I live in South London.
Oh, you're in London. Okay, lovely.
Yes.
I'm in North, although all my family's in South, so I'm often down there. Yeah, I'm trying to get my head around being in these four walls for the foreseeable.
Another
But
few months. I know.
It's the same
I
for
know.
all of us.
I never thought I'd know every millimetre of the four walls as much as I do now, but here we are. And at least we've all done it. We know.
Yes.
In a way.
So speaking of being trapped within four walls, what can you tell us about the situation your character Martha is trapped in this movie?
It's a good analogy, really, I guess. It's basically about, yes, Martha, who goes through a kind of unimaginable tragedy, really, a massive loss. And the film is really over the next 8 months of her life. You know, we've all been through losses of different kinds, whether it's a person we love or a relationship, or, you know, this year has been a kind of collective loss of things in a way. And how do you sort of get through it and put your world back together when reality as you know it has been completely shattered? And you know, that journey can seem so lonely in a way when the rest of the world seems to be, you know, experiencing something else.
It's one of those things, isn't it, where even if she was surrounded by 100 of the closest friends, not one of them has experienced exactly what she's experienced in that moment. So it is incredibly isolating. And I think probably the most honest review I could give of this film is, oof. You know, because it's so
a good word.
It's so heavyweight, and I guess it's a little cliche to say that the difficult subject matter is the kind of thing that attracts a serious actor. But what was it that really pushed you towards it?
There were two things really when I first read the script. The first thing was I'd never seen a birth, you know, in a script like that written on so many pages. It was 30 or something pages.
Wow.
And it struck me as I was halfway through and I kept turning the pages and the birth, it was still the birth, you know. I thought, oh my God, we've seen so many deaths on screen and we've rarely seen any births, not in their entirety, you know, as it really is. And that felt important, and it's a female writer, and I guess it's a wonderful testament really to more female voices coming through and being able to write their experience, and also all the men that have been at every birth of their children, you know. So it feels like such a universal thing, and yet it's so rarely represented on screen. So that felt special. And our biggest intention was to represent birth as authentically as possible, not a kind of movie version, which I think we've seen so often before.
Go and get the towels. Get some towels. It's always the same. Get some towels, and then it's over.
And then it's over, and it might be, you know, like, yeah, exactly. And a couple of screams, and then the baby's there. And honestly, I read it, and I thought, oh my God, I haven't given birth myself. And when I started to research how on earth to begin to act it when I haven't, I thought, oh my God, I can't, even documentaries don't give me a real indication of what it's actually like. And then the second thing when reading it was, I'd never really seen a film tackle baby loss in this way, and loss and grief generally, really kind of unflinching in how difficult an experience that is as a human. And I started speaking to a lot of women and spent a lot of time with them who had been through this, and all of them, without exception, said that they found it really hard to share and talk about because society finds it deeply uncomfortable. And I feel really hopeful that this little movie might, in just some tiny way, open up a bit more conversation around that to make it easier for people to feel like they can speak about their pain or their grief or their experience or any kind of hard time they go through, really.
Well, I mean, two things that makes me think of. Firstly, the performance of it from you. I mean, there's so many things you did in there that just made me squirm. But having sat through a couple of labours myself, I mean, my first daughter was 22 hours. There was one thing that there's one thing you did that really took me right back to that moment. There was a little guttural growl that you made that was a good few octaves under your normal voice that was sort of terrifying. And it really reminded me of how my wife's voice completely changed. She turned into like a different creature, and that was incredible. But yeah, the second part of what you were saying is fascinating, about trying to represent the whole experience truthfully all the way through into grief, because it's a great reminder of the fragility of life. And particularly childbirth. I've got friends who've lost children and family as well, and it's the worst thing ever. But like you say, no one wants to talk about it, and not within any detail. And this film for me was all about gradual detail, really getting into, the stages of grief. Did you find that exhausting or exhilarating, or?
Probably both, actually. At the same time, all the way through it. It was exhausting only because I was just trying really hard to represent faithfully what the women I'd spent time with had told me about what it actually feels like day to day, and how it feels to wake up and, get through it, basically. And so I tried to carry that as much as possible. And the character doesn't express much, her grief is like deeply internalized, and so she finds it very difficult to articulate or express. So I had to make sure the best I possibly could is try and have it all going on inside, but not speaking about it, so to speak. And secondly, it's exhilarating only because I think all actors would say this, when you feel like you're touching something true, which is always the aim, I think. I feel it feels much better than when you feel like you're being phony. In the birth, my biggest fear was any moment being phony, because as you said, you witnessed 2 births, and it's just the most incredible. And as you described, like that guttural sound, it's an animal, it's an animal experience. I was so lucky I got to witness someone actually give birth for real, and without her generosity and letting me watch her, I never could have acted it. But I saw her go on a journey like your wife, and it just blew me away, the power of that experience and of women. And yeah, so my what was, it was all those things mixed in together. Fear, exhilaration, exhaustion, but most of all hoping to be faithful to and true to it.
Is it the toughest gig you've ever had, would you say?
I would say so, only because I knew that I had to get those things right, and it was something that I had no idea about. So I would say so, yes. Definitely the scariest. I'm most afraid of getting it wrong,
sure.
Failing.
Sure. And even though Martha's clearly the protagonist, she's not, I mean, for the vast majority of the movie, she's not a hero in the traditional sense. I'm not sure there are any sort of clear heroes in the movie. And yet I can see where everyone's coming from. Each character, I'm not against anyone, so to speak. I didn't really vilify anyone. Snook maybe a little bit but she got away with it, Sarah Snook, because I'm in love with Sarah Snook, and I don't care who knows it. But,
who isn't? She's also the nicest person in the world.
Is she? I don't want to know anymore, because I just love her too much. How did you feel about portraying the negative side of someone who's, so clearly a victim to begin with?
Well, I have a hard time playing heroes anyway. I always look for the anti-heroes, the anti-heroines, because I feel like that's who we all are. I don't really want to see someone sort of perfect on screen, because I don't feel like that's true to me. I feel flawed a lot of the time and full of contradictions and self-doubt, and I think being human is messy, and in a way a bit like the birth, birth is messy and beautiful and difficult and painful and kind of sacred, and that's what I saw when I saw that amazing woman do it. But I think I'm really an advocate of seeing women on screen who are anti-heroines and messy in a way, because I don't think perfection is true in anything. We're imperfectly perfect, if you know what I mean. So I always would rather lean into that, really, the whole kind of spectrum of what it is to be human right now.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's fair to say that things turn cold in this film, but I almost felt like your character sort of turned with the season or with the seasons. You know, like, we start off in September and there's this gradual transition to ice in Boston. I did wonder, was that part of the script or was that a directorial flourish?
I think it was probably intentional in a way, because I mean the film goes from, you know, after that massive trauma, it's 8 months, and a friend of mine said to me recently, after his dad died, he literally didn't smile for 9 months. And I think there's something in that, and I think about the film, and it's called Pieces of a Woman, and it's sort of random dates, you know, you don't see her at Christmas or New Year, you know, you see these sort of random dates, and I think they're the toughest moments really of the 8 months that come after her losing her baby. And I think sometimes I you know, I have thought about this a lot, that when you're in that space, you know, when you've lost something or someone, time can kind of changes in a way. It sort of feels like an eternity, and you sometimes wonder if it will ever leave you, you know, if you'll ever feel better. And as you said at the very beginning, it is so isolating, that. And I kind of feel like the movie, and its sort of unflinchingness and its sort of coldness, like as you say, even with the seasons and the feeling, and I don't know, I hope it sort of reaches out to even those few people that might be in a certain place and feel like no one else is feeling like that, or understand, or maybe they don't feel seen in that and have to sort of keep going. You know, I hope that it sort of reaches them in a way.
How many times that opening shot of the birth? It's one shot, right, for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
How many times did you shoot it?
We shot it 6 times. It was the first 2 days of filming, and the first day we did 4 takes, and the second day we did 2. And it was hands down the best filming experience of my life.
Wow.
For sure.
It's so intense, and it works. And I like that you don't see the immediate reaction. We just move from that into seeing the grief played out in, like you say, these little chapters. And Shia LaBeouf as your partner Sean, did you know him before the film? The chemistry it feels very real.
I think what helped everybody was Cornell, the director, and Kata, the writer, are married, and it's sort of their story really about losing a baby. And so when everyone came onto the project, it felt like such a personal thing, you know, and it felt like Kata's, very much Kata's voice, and breaking her own silence. It was extremely difficult for her to do it. And I think we all kind of carried that with us, and therefore every day of shooting was always about that in a way. It was bigger than us, you know?
Right.
It was for her and the women that have been through this and their families, where, you know, we know, like Meghan Markle recently wrote an article about her miscarriage, and Chrissy Teigen has spoken out about losing her baby, and there was apparently very mixed reactions to them speaking out about it, and that kind of made me feel even more passionately about people feeling like they can share that pain. And so I think it was a really courageous thing of Captain Cornell to do it, and I think the whole team, everyone on the crew felt like that was our intention with it all, really.
That's awesome. And I mean, listen, it's an incredible performance, an incredibly tough watch in the best possible way. So please tell me this, Vanessa, your next project is you're going to be in a Muppet movie or something like that, just to take the edge off of Pieces of a Woman. What's up next for you?
I don't know, Ben, what's next. I would, you know, why not? The Muppets need a bit of levity, don't we all? But I'm not sure. I've been reading a lot of scripts, but nothing's felt right yet. So I'm just waiting for the next thing. I mean, my big hero is Gina Rowlands, and I'm sort of now, after Pieces of a Woman, looking for more women on screen who are, I don't know, the women that I would identify like as my sister or my best friends, or a part of me somehow. You know, as you said, like the anti-heroines, that's what I'm after. So I'm just waiting for the right one to come along.
Well, I hope it doesn't take too long. We'd love to see you up front, up close and personal again very, very soon. Thanks so much, Vanessa, for your time.
Thank you, Ben.